Exactly correct.
Hello, Culture Matters podcast. We are back. We didn't quit yesterday, the day before. None of that garbage. Before I introduce to you to our guest, here's a quote just for this episode. Big elephants take big guns, bigger guns. End quote. Me, I just said it before I hit record. Our guest today is a machine gun. And by the way,
Boom.
I said it better before. I said it just now, but they're a great friend of the Culture It Matters podcast. If you haven't listened to episode 570,
Mhm.
Quit Tomorrow, go listen to that episode after
Yep.
this. If you haven't listened to episode 752, Quit the Day After Tomorrow, go
Mhm.
listen to that after the other episode. And if you're not paying attention, quit the day after tomorrow. Maybe we could call this.
Maybe next week. Quit maybe next week. Quit after quit after the Super Bowl.
Our guest today is the one and only John Duffin, Duffin Media, host of Your Message Received,
Mhm.
friend of the Culture Matters podcast. Thanks for coming back on the show, John.
Oh, it's you. So it's worth it to me. It's great to be back here, man. Feeling the energy already and feeling the love. Thanks, man.
When elephant hunting, why do we need bigger guns?
Well,
It's
because
a
they're
metaphor, by the way. Oh my God, for our
so I'm not a gun advocate in general, but let's stay here. Let's stay here anyway. So to me, well, because look, there's two things that you don't want to show up for your big opportunity with some BB gun. They used to, so all right, some little thing. And I'm going to say this. Have you ever, Jay, or anyone watching or listening, had an experience where you met somebody of real relevance and the conclusion was unsatisfactory? And that to me is part of the metaphor, meaning
well, I
not
haven't dated in a handful of years.
that well,
Sorry, that
and
was an
you,
easy one to
but
walk
but I
through.
mean that it's the frustration of I had a moment and nothing happened. And so that's why you bring bigger guns because you want
Mm.
impact. That it is frustrating to say, hey, I met so and so and so and so, and I had this opportunity. And then somebody asks you the potentially lethal question, which is, so what happened? And and that's why you bring bigger artillery because you don't want your answer to be, well, it was nice. And then we left. And that was that. We've all got a purpose. We've all, like I said, understand the purpose of follow through. And to me, that's why. That's why.
That's where I see preparation coming in. What's your
A
take?
hundred percent. 100%. That you don't want like I'm going to use two: preparation on the front end, and follow through on the back. That it is so important because so often, what if the person, and to me, I've encountered this before, where it's like the basics of either a thank you note or even better, a thank you with an idea, a solution, something other than it was really nice to meet you. And we'll talk soon. Or not.
Mm.
And so to get away from that, that's why to me preparation's amazing because it sometimes puts you in a place that makes you more memorable. But it's your follow through that often closes things. Jay and I were talking off camera about some
Yeah.
basic details and an incredible story involving basic details. And that's follow through, you know, preparation, follow through,
How
timing.
about creativity?
Oh, always, always. Creativity as it involves solutions, not creativity necessarily that involves artistic. You know, that if you, I came from a field where you saw the difference, where somebody would bring creatively, well, I brought a bunch of balloons to your whatever, right? That's nice. Doesn't do anything, but it was nice and it was creative and they look pretty. But if there's something to do with a solution or a purpose, it's like anything. Preparation's great. Learn all about somebody. But if you don't ask good questions, so what? Your follow through is great, but if you're just nagging somebody,
Oh, that's interesting.
right? And if you're just nagging them, are you ready? Are you ready? Are
You
you
think there's
ready?
a
Are you ready?
connection with follow up and the quality of questions that we ask?
100%. 100%.
Wow.
Can you, well, to me, because there's purpose involved. Because ultimately, there's a reason you're speaking to somebody, and most often that person knows what it is. What they don't know yet, which is the key, is why would it matter to them? We know why it matters to you, but why would it matter to them? And when you get to the why would it matter to them, and you don't have to overthink this, you just have to be 100% right. That's why you're doing the timely follow up. Just occurred. I watched this occur. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? And you're like a fly that's flying in the face of someone, and they're just like, get away, get away, get away. So to me, this is the
Oh,
strategy. Yeah, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And you were risking the leave me alone. Hey, so that's why to me, we both know somebody um, who talks about being the solution, and she's great. And that's why there's always a sense of purpose. A solution, again, does not have to be overthought. It just has to help them. The
um,
bigger targets, the bigger prospects, the bigger organizations. For me, as a sales trainer and sales coach and executive mentor, my purpose in regards to precision is making certain that I am speaking to the right people where I can create the most impact. I can help the most people. It's great to help a singular person, but can I help an organization? Can I help that organization help that singular individual? And that's why it has to be solution based.
is 2025 off with a bang?
So far, it's rolling. There's more to be done. There's a lot more to be done. I'm not going to overstate where I am. There is so much more to be done, but I felt some good things so far.
What about the fact that what is it? 91, is it 91.8 or I'm trying to think how
Give me
much
the number, man.
percentage of the year is
91.8.
left of what's left of the
Oh, the
year,
percentage of what's left. Oh my God, that's pretty cool. Right.
right?
It's
It's got to be.
well, you figure
No,
now.
no, it's 91.66. If but it's not, it's the 6th of February. That's what screwed me up because it's not,
Mhm.
basically 1 month is gone.
Yeah,
So
well,
we've lost
1/12 of the year is gone. So all of that ramping up
six,
and getting ready and what's your
20% into
word and all
February.
that sort of thing, a twelfth of the year is gone. So think of it this way.
Six.
I'm going to tell you why I know this is so, but I'm going to say as you're doing
I
the
think
math,
10% of the whole year is already through.
yeah, because you're 6 into a short month with February. You know what I mean? So
Oh, it's even more than
February's.
that then. Shit. The point
I
is,
don't know
we're running
that,
out of time, dude.
right?
The year's
So
almost over. The year might be over already.
no, it isn't. And that's
Why
why I
not?
speak to clients, prospects. No, it isn't. But you need to get a move on. Nor can you speak about new year, new you. You're talking about at this point when you're preparing your day, preparing your week, preparing your month, you're in. So right now would be a great opportunity to just check the engine, so to speak, check everything. Is this rolling? Did, you know, the calendar reminders are great. The master plan, wonderful. Now it's like, okay, did I do it? Accountability checks, engine checks. Is this working? Was this smart? Was this a wrong direction? Get on it would be a good opportunity.
This
I
is
got to share
podcast
something. Do you
number
mind?
40.
I'm going to ask you something.
Go ahead.
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not ask you. I'm going to illuminate. I know what you mean when you say the year is almost over. I know what you mean. And I'm saying, and there is, when
This
I
is
came
psychological.
from media sales, you had two prevailing schools of thought. We'll really dumb this down and to make it simple, but it was this. You had some from the sales organizations that were still, taking their slippers off and, "Hey, let's get going. It's about time that we get going here." And what we learned, they were wrong. So then we had other keynotes in the organization was, you better get a move on, because people make decisions that impact the year they've often made them. You rolling in with your big plan on February 6th or 7th or whatever and saying, "I'm going to get rolling," you might have lost opportunity. I watched it happen. So that's why I'm saying I know what you mean. So it really is a sense of check the details, clean up what ain't working, get it out of your way, and focus on what is. Get rid of
Well,
the
how,
fear.
how
Get rid
much
of
of our
all.
habits are already instantiated in the year and the fact that it's already the
Mhm,
year?
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
not
but
new anymore.
if you go there, you're also cheating yourself out of a lot of remaining time. So if you are in the year is lost, do you know when they talk? I forget if it's quitting Friday or whatever the day that people quit. Here's what happens, and this is why that's not great. Because if you believe the year is lost, oh, we're all done. Oh, well, man, we're already gone. So what are you going to do? What do you do at that point? Give up? Give up? Start focusing on 2026? Sell your company? Like that's insane.
Yes, that's what they're going to do.
Well, that's insane.
That's what they're
So,
doing
and I'll
right
tell you why
now.
it's
Right
insane.
now, our listeners are doing that right
Why are
now.
you giving up? Why are you
They're
giving up?
selling. They
Because
don't even have a plan.
they don't have a plan, bailing. Why would you
Because
give
every day
up
people are asking them, hey,
90
you want to
plus
sell?
percent of the year? Why would you give that up? Because one Chicken Little is saying, "It's raining, it's raining. Where's your umbrella? It's raining, it's raining. Your bag's going to get wet. It's raining." So cut that stuff out, number one, because you're cheating yourself out of incredible opportunity. Number two, which is acknowledge. So you can acknowledge that you squandered time, but do not acknowledge for that, oh, the year's over. Why? It ain't. It ain't. Just get to work is what it is. Get to work. Suit up, as they say, suit up and show up, rather than give yourself another reason to feel sad. Oh, missed the first quarter. Oh, missed the year. Well, I'm done. Culture Matter says that, the year's over. So I'm just going to go back to bed. And I'll be ready, I swear, in 2026. Will you? Move. That's directed to me. I don't tell anybody what to do. It's directed to me and everyone else. So what can you do? How do you salvage the quarter? How do you salvage the year? Look
Yeah.
at
How do
stuff.
you do it?
Okay. Well, first, number one, look at your key priorities. Do you have your top three? I'm working on the assumption that you do, right? Rather than it's time to create your year. Let's assume you've done the master plan and you've got your big vision board and Jesse Eatzler's big ass calendar. You got this all there. Maybe look at it, for God's sake. Did you do it? Does it still matter? That priority. Is it, you know what I mean? I
Interesting
don't mean
paradox.
life.
You know,
I'm
the
just,
reason I ordered the calendar was because I couldn't do it in the first place. It's an interesting paradox. It's like I'm ordering
right.
his calendar because I can't do it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Calendar.
So,
I have a calendar
so,
here. I have a calendar there. I have a calendar there. I could do
priorities here,
that. I do
priorities
it every
there.
day. But like I'm just saying, I think a wake up call is in order for the person ordering the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
They're not 90. I would argue a massive percentage, probably the people that order it
Mm-hmm.
are not filling it out.
Oh, wait. I'm
Because
gonna.
if they would be the type of
Mm-hmm.
person to fill it
Mm-hmm.
out, they wouldn't have been impelled, inspired,
Mm-hmm.
compelled to order it.
They're not. The purpose of your year is not to color code a calendar. I did it. Look, I worked off of the calendar. It's on my wall. This one's green and this one's red and this one's, the purpose is to identify, simplify, dumb down priorities that matter. I just heard this. I was on uh, a joint podcast. It was great. And one of the things that my colleague had said, and I love this, was you got two jobs really, especially if you're in sales or in development or you're building and securing relationships, which is number one in terms of promote what you do. Number two, make certain you are telling people what you do, individuals and companies. A social media blast is not sufficient. It is your social media blasts with all your podcasts or whatever, and your purpose and all that sort of thing. And the reminder, if you're not telling people on a daily basis what you do and how you can help them, you're not doing your job. So one of the top priorities must become, if it isn't already, so folks, let's assume you're not doing that, right? You're not alone. So let's fix it. Who needs to know? Who needs your help? And that's only part of the job. Yeah, throw all that on your big calendar too. But then you got to reach out to them. That was the part. That's the one thing I'm not intimidated by that because I've done it. And that's the nice thing. It's like there's plenty of things in life I get intimidated by. This ain't it. And so for myself, that's the comfort and encouragement, which is that's an easy fix, which is find those people. LinkedIn, websites, you know what I mean? Wikipedia if you have to. Whatever the case is, go find them to go back to the elephants or what have you. Go find them. People are so damn like it's shocking how people become approachable if there's something that matters to them. Go back to a favorite old adage of mine. It only matters if it matters to them. So find it, figure it out. Do they need, folks, you won't get this code. Do they need umbrellas because they're getting rained on? That helps them. That is a solution for them, especially in Philadelphia. It's raining today. An umbrella would be a great help if somebody handed me one. So don't overthink. You don't have to solve all of life's problems. You just have to pinpoint, oh, that person, here's what they need. How do I know? I did some homework. And then I reached out to them.
Why haven't you quit your podcast?
Because I two reasons. Number one, I can feel momentum, which when there's a tangible feel to that. In fact, I've heavied up. Like for myself, is I've joined a network, or a network joined me, which was nice, and so I know that I'm making headway. Secondly, I do utilize the podcast in regards to business purposes. It's a reminder. I bring specific people on to remind people that there are specific solutions for them. And I want to hear from them what drives success in 2025. I want to hear what drives success for them right now. I want to hear who matters to them and why they matter. And what have they done to keep going, which is critical. That's the third for me, the resilience. You're going to keep, everybody's going through something, personal, professional, global, whatever your news choice or whatever that's screaming at you that everything is this and everything is that. So your job is to just tune all that stuff out, you know? So that's why that's why I haven't quit the podcast. There's more to be done.
I'm in these I regretfully joined a podcast community group like on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
it's
What's the
deeply
regrettably
depressing.
part?
Just deeply depressing.
Why?
I don't think the podcast culture has an identity yet.
Mm,
It's like it's such a new phenomenon.
right.
Just yeah, but I guess in some sense it's been a helpful mirror
Hmm.
to reorient myself and reaffirm and also separate, the wheat from the chaff, cut away some what
Hmm.
could easily be distracting towards the core focus. There's very much a plan,
Hmm.
a methodology, a thesis undergirding this show.
Hmm.
This is the 40th recording of 2025.
Hmm.
And for example, and I yeah, I tuned it back a little bit to reprioritize energy into higher order
Hmm.
aims based on
Yep.
obligations and responsibilities to be even more efficient in perspective,
Hmm.
acting out many of the lessons on the show from guests and so on, and my own readings and quandaries and yada yada yada. But in the podcasting culture,
Hmm.
it's unclear. And,
Hmm.
and it seems like it's like a swamp, a morass. That's why I'm happy to hear that you're continuing to do it.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many of our compatriots have decided not to.
Oh, the numbers are staggering. And so doing the research and seeing the research, you're literally looking at somewhere between 8 and 9 out of 10 are stopping. And this is on a daily basis. So here's I very much respect what you have to say. I can't remember the first word, but the second was morass. But anyway,
It's a swamp, John. It's a
it's a
swamp.
swamp, it's a
Like
morass. But
Lord of the
here's the deal.
Rings, man. They're walking through
So
the
you can
swamp.
take that two ways. Number one, I'm not looking necessarily uh, to swim in the same stream as to everyone who's creating a podcast. And I know you're not either. So you could go two ways, and neither of them are wrong. If you feel like it, or if you've ever choose to feel like it, you can help somebody. Literally, you could help somebody with what you know. Uh, when you want to come from a position of contribution or service, you can help the culture. It's what your company does. So, ain't it? Um,
The only concern I have is if somebody's telling me, like we're in a dark road.
mhm,
There's a person dressed up in a police uniform because
right.
they felt authentically an officer,
Hmm.
although they hadn't done the training or been certified.
Just happened at Temple University.
And oh, really? Oh, shit.
Yeah, really.
Well,
Yeah,
so they
really.
authentically identified as a police officer,
And
and
ice.
I'm in a dark road,
Hmm.
and it's dark. I'm driving,
Hmm.
and I see a light,
Hmm.
and I'm driving. I'm not sure where I'm going, and they're
Hmm.
telling me to turn right,
Hmm.
and so then I go down a new road, and all of a sudden, right into a ravine.
And right into the ravine, and everything's done. So then you could take plan B, which is if somebody happens to throw me an idea that works for me, then I think of the idea and I consider it. But I don't look for the network, the group, the social media crew to steer what I need. I think it's the responsibility of anybody running a business, take it away from the podcast, anybody running a company. Uh, that you are only following people, whether it's trial and error. Listen, I just experienced, I won't go into details. I felt like I took a wrong turn. I did take a wrong turn based on a business decision. Sucks. Same way, it's like, okay, I felt like I was kind of spinning around where people were unclear as to what my podcast was about. Okay, got it. How do you know? I listen to feedback. What do? You can either fix it, which I've done, um, be a big boy, not worry so much about, oh, well, they said it was okay, go fix it. And as I said, the podcast for me is an arm of the company. It's the arm of one thing that I do. I hate speaking myself in third party, so I won't. But it's an arm. It's a point of communication where I can reach out to more individuals so that they can better understand, in my regard, where I'm coming from, what I'm about, and why this stuff matters you know uh and these are actual examples. The guests that I bring on are actual examples of people that I believe can help people. I don't have to agree with all of them, but I just believe they can help somebody in the specific field I'm in. So that's why I don't quit. And I
How's it
get to
helped
learn, and
you?
I get to learn too, for God's sake.
Yeah,
You know what I
how's it
mean?
helped you?
Oh my God. So perspectives really do help me. I'll give you a real specific example, which is I, over the course of the last couple of months, I was going through in my mind some personal stuff, and without going into vivid detail, part of the personal stuff was things I didn't agree about, which was going on in regards to the culture. I just didn't. And it concerned me and it angered me and all that sort of thing. So the risk, if you had talked to me, say maybe 10 years ago, I might have cut off a bunch of people that I felt like, okay, you're on the opposite side. We talked about this on other episodes in regards to social media. It already happened, right? Between you and me, let alone other people. So what I'm saying
Yeah, and that behavior destroys
is
people's lives.
it really does, because you shut yourself down. If you want to even take it from that selfish perspective, why would you shut yourself down because you don't agree with so and so? You know? So I, at this point, have come, it's like, okay, how can I take what I'm learning and utilize it to help other people and to help,
That
and to help my business?
that's why that's an important piece of topic for this
Mhm.
show because
Yeah.
I think responsibility falls on the most aware.
What do you mean?
If I think that I'm right and you're
Hmm.
wrong,
Hmm.
um, like I think I'm above you. I can see
Yes.
higher.
Yes.
I'm standing on a rock higher than you. I can see something you can't see.
Yep.
I'm gonna say John has a blind spot.
Hmm. Hmm.
I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility. I have an ability to respond at a greater height
Hmm.
of compassion and
Hmm.
reason to lift who I perceive as the victim
Hmm.
as opposed to being the bully. So in the circumstance of the person that becomes withdrawn and is inverting in themselves, is
Right.
reclusing in themselves and cutting off and reclusing
Hmm.
those friends that they're cutting off,
Hmm.
they're in a position of like both parties, if both parties think that they're better than the other, that
Hmm.
they're standing on higher ground,
Yep.
and neither are willing to lift a hand out
Hmm.
through the word, through their actions,
Yep.
then neither are as high as they think they are. They're inverted. They're lower
Hmm.
than they think they are, is what I would argue. And
And then what happens?
a death spiral,
Hmm.
a,
So why would I
a,
want to do that?
a death spiral,
Hmm.
like a psychological death spiral,
Hmm.
loss of identity. Our identity is also given credence by those we come into conflict with.
100%.
So a lot of pathological thing. We're more likely to get excited about. This
Hmm.
is where this is where and it can be taken in the wrong way. There's a strain of thought, that has a truth to it. It's like the less I have my shit together, the more likely I care about things about the world.
Hmm. Agreed.
However, that doesn't mean we don't give a shit about things about the world.
Hmm.
In fact, the greater the greater the more I have my shit together, the more I need to care about the world because who's going to be able to do something about it and care
There
about
you go.
the world?
There you go.
So it's an interesting,
Mhm.
but that would be for the audience's sake. It's like, I think if I'm not doing what I need to do,
Mhm.
I could very well easily externalize that into an over attachment to the macro
Okay.
and over attachment to the macro,
Mhm.
scapegoating personal responsibility to myself in my life.
Right.
And I may find myself, you know, on the street with a placard, waving it around.
Letting everybody know what you used to do.
But
And
life is
used.
interesting because
Mhm.
hey, those lost souls
Mhm.
also take down corrupt institutions.
They
So the
can.
question becomes, who's right and who's wrong, and that's where the individual um, conversation comes
I
in.
respect all of that.
It's tough.
This is where I'm choosing to go. This is just simply my choice, which is where I am choosing to go, which ain't easy, which is I continue to pursue, not because I'm all that, not because I'm at a higher, because I got something else I need to say. I keep going back to this. I made a,
Let me actually, I want to add something.
yeah,
When I'll use it when a party on a political sense took over that I didn't agree with,
right.
what actually I did next was I just worked, sacrificed, got so focused.
Hmm.
I used that energy as a motivation to create,
Hmm.
and that's just what happened. And the fruit of that was unbelievably astounding. I
Yep.
think in another universe, little J and big J's body
Hmm.
goes into an anxiety state, an anxious state as a
Hmm.
consequence of something out of little J and a big J's body's control, psychological,
Hmm.
pathology of control
Sure.
that impacts little J and a big J's body. And little J and a big J's body just regresses and recluses and shrinks back and does Zippo
There you go.
or joins a cult or joins
Hmm.
some kind of
A monastery. A
group or
monastery that it's just them in
change,
silence.
now I'm in politics or religion or who knows. What I'm trying to say is I think judgment is so important because at least I care about the people in my life.
Right.
So I think I have a responsibility to criticize them and to judge them
Hmm.
and to say, you like, I can think, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get your because oh yeah, just that's my personality. I guess
Hmm.
what a gift maybe to others, but
I go back,
now
brother.
that could also be seen like fuck Jay, let me get rid of him. Let me
Sure,
cut him out. He's negative.
sure.
No, well, wait, but I'm trying to be helpful.
Hmm.
Because what you just said earlier, I could think
Right.
of a handful of people
Hmm.
that are totally missing the opportunity of 2025 because they're so
Hmm.
caught up in the macro and they're kind of like, the way that some of us were deluded one way in the pandemic, and everyone there was such delusion on both sides, and
Such
I admit
polar
I believe
choices.
delusion,
Hmm.
too much
Agreed.
extreme. What I'm trying to say though is I
Hmm.
feel, and for all the friends that are listening to this,
Yeah.
it's important to don't let people drown when you see them drowning.
Hmm. But here's what
Because
then I
I might be
caution.
drowning
Oh,
and
I
they're not
agree, but let me
drowning and they
caution
think
you,
I'm drowning and I think
right?
they're drowning and we need to,
There's a difference between saying the year is over and there is as opposed to you better get moving before. So I feel like if you have and you've chosen that responsibility, it shouldn't be fatalistic, right? So this is the way that I think
oh no,
problems
the year is absolutely over.
no, and see to me it's
Yeah,
right, right.
it,
So if you're going to
what
like
I mean by that is if someone doesn't get awake, like we are human beings,
right.
we get stuck in cycles.
Yeah.
So time and space. I mean, it's a philosophical, like, that doesn't undermine your point,
Hmm. Oh, I know.
but it's a culture shock. It's like
Hmm.
the year is over.
Hmm.
The habits, the rituals, the
Hmm.
beliefs are instantiated in the behavior. And now it's just a rationalization, a reaffirmation. Now it's just, I'm going to keep eating self-help books that tell me to not listen to the haters and not listen to the negative
Hmm.
people, which are
Right.
probably the people saying, hey, the year's over.
Right.
So, but what you said was a great point too. And I think it's well taken.
Yeah. So this is why you have the conversations. When you asked me, why haven't I quit the podcast or why do I keep going wherever? That's why, because I don't agree. But it doesn't mean you can't or shouldn't communicate. I think one of the bigger problems, I've lived it, by the way, which is one of the reasons I could say it with a degree of confidence, is you finish that sentence with the year is over and you finish it with, so why bother?
Yeah,
Oh,
see,
the
that's something I
country is
have a
going to
hard
be X.
time
The
to
country is
identify.
going to be X. So why bother? I will just sit and eat crap and wait.
That's an entitled, this thing. I have not,
See, that's a great choice of words.
dude, John, this is the thing. That if somebody's thinking that, man, they're
Right.
in hell.
So how do you get them
They're
out?
in
How
hell.
do you
That's
get them
dangerous.
out? So this
That's
is
scary
why you
stuff. You tell
keep
the truth.
well, you keep going. That's it. So
You
you
tell the
keep
truth.
going. And so rather than
You don't let
somebody's
your friends
drowning and to
drown.
shove their head under the water, you give them at least the opportunity. And to me, that's where I am. I'm not a Pollyanna type. I've never been. I'm very optimistic. I'm told I have very positive energy, so I'll go with
Then
it.
why bother?
But the sense of, to me, here's why you bother. It is February 6th. That's it. Here's why you bother. Think of the impact that you have with 10 and 3/4 months left, as opposed to, oh, year's over.
Oh, I just
Why
want to say,
bother?
like, this is another way of thinking in that is that
Right?
I think the leader's natural impulse in that is just to get to work.
That's it.
Leaders follow the
That's it. Get to
problems,
work.
but like, I don't know. I have a hard time empathizing with the person that has to hype themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have to hype themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know.
Well, here
But it's a good conversation because we're built differently. There's different people.
right.
People are different.
That's true. But
People
may
are
I add
different.
this? Hyping somebody up to me is Pollyanna.
What's that
Rah,
mean,
rah.
Pollyanna? Oh, like
The rah, 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 cheerleading, pat on the rear end. You know what I mean? Rah, rah. Here's what I'm saying. It is the sense of bringing solid, specific information that solves situations. Same deal with the raining and umbrella. It's help somebody, freaking help somebody, because to recover from that mindset, you don't need every soul. You never did. You don't need culture to matter to every single individual. You don't. You're highly selective with who you choose to work with, as you should be. I don't need everybody in an organization to agree with me, nor do I need everybody in an organization to comply with me. It's the exact opposite. I want the ones that are. I want the ones that are, knowing full well I'm not going to get everybody and don't care. So to me, it's who's going to stand up, who's going to rise, who's going to be future leaders. Because if I was just trolling to change everybody's mind, I'm not, and I
well,
never
if we're
was.
talking about being like an advisor, like a trainer, all of
Yeah,
that, there's
sure,
two ways
sure.
that business comes. It's just
Mhm.
only really there's only two ways.
What's that?
From the stage or it's referral.
Exactly.
That's it. So if I'm not speaking, there's no business. If there's no referrals, there's no business.
Right.
Everything else is mental masturbation.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't agree. I think there's one more thing, which is you actually
But
you go find people and speak to them.
the
You
reason that
think
doesn't
you find
work,
people.
the
That is,
reason that
and
doesn't
meet them.
work, the reason it doesn't work is people's ego.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like someone that's looking for a psychologist or a psychiatrist. They're
Hmm.
making their pride comes before the fall. So the
Okay.
conversion rate is extremely, extremely, extremely low
Mhm.
on going direct to because it's like going up to somebody and saying, "Hey, you're fucked up. I need to be your mother or father or uncle or aunt." Like what I'm saying, there's a deep cycle, and this is a good episode for like all the, you know, healers out there. There's really
Oh, and
two
life
lead
coaches. And
sources.
life coaches. I'm like, that ain't me.
Well, we all are that because we need that.
Hmm.
That is in psychology, they call it research is me search.
I love that.
But the distinction is if
I
you and
love
me
that.
say, hey, we need psychologists.
Hmm.
There's a difference between the person that says, I need that, and then the one that goes and makes the appointment and meets with the person.
Hmm.
So there's two like true lead funnels for the healer business. I'm
Hmm.
on the stage, I tell the truth.
And you inspire a select portion of people to buy your book
Because what
or
happens
run
is
up to you.
their brain shuts down the part where it's uh fight or flight, and comparison.
Mhm.
There's that passage in the biblical text, no man is a prophet in their own town.
Give me that quote again. No
Like
man is a
no man is a prophet in their own town. You you
okay.
you leave you leave we'll always be our parents' children.
Hmm.
You leave the same speech given in two different. I could do it at my synagogue, or I could do it in my church. I could do it
Yep.
at some stranger's holiday party.
Hmm.
Everyone is thinking, "Who's that?"
Hmm.
It's the nature of it's how our brains work. There's a long,
Right.
we can go into the. But what I'm saying is, there's two ways.
Hmm.
Elevated at a height, giving the Sermon on the Mount.
Hmm.
I am the Word. I am the truth. I am. Like the
I
person in the
am.
audience, they turn into a child. Their inner child.
Now that I understand.
This is why it's so dangerous for
Mm-hmm.
people on this.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the third phenomenon that's manifesting itself is this social media shit. Because it's a stage within the cortex. It's like a stage within the mind.
Okay.
I'm scrolling and I see John. I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God,
Mm-hmm.
this is my new God.
And I keep seeing John, or I keep seeing and hearing Jay. It here's why I disagree with what you're saying. If you are waiting for that singular opportunity to be inspired, I'm scrolling and all of a sudden, it's if you're the one that's trying to secure business, you're waiting too long. So, how do you get out of the mindset of, well, your year is over? Here's how go fix it. How do you fix it? Yes, secure speaking engagements, 100%. That's what I am actively pursuing at this point. Uh, the social media branding perspective, that's what I'm doing. The podcast, that's what I'm doing. And based on my experience and watching it work, I am also, not instead of, I am also navigating some time to physically reach out to people, whether it is networking events where I know somebody's coming or literally following them. Let them inspire me, and then I go to work. And that to me is a path of least resistance. And that's one of the things that I know works, which is that path of least resistance. Talk to the person that has impact. Only, only talk to them. Don't waste your time going up and down the chain and worrying about who the gatekeeper is and all that sort of thing. You're wasting your time. Get right to that person as quickly as you are able. Talk to them. It's too wide open right now in regards to available access of speaking with people. Go have them on your show. Uh, find them on social. Find them at an event and go talk to them. Make the impact. Bring the bigger gun like you talked about before. Make the impact. Make you memorable. And that how to me is also a critical way of salvaging a year, so to speak. Critical.
So what do you specifically disagree with?
Oh, the only part that there's only two funnels. I think there's three. Direct access, finding people, and solving it. I think it's three. I don't think it's strictly two funnels. I see you typing.
By their fruits ye shall know them.
Wait a minute,
Matthew
give me that quote
7.
again.
If you're listening to this podcast, thank you for continuing to live through a real relationship, a real
Mhm.
conversation with real people that actually do real work. So thank you for listening to the Culture Matters podcast. Very exciting. And here's the quote we're going to leave you today.
Mm.
The one and only John Duffin,
Oh,
episode 570 and 776, I believe. Quit tomorrow, quit the day after tomorrow.
mhm.
752 and 570. Here's the quote: By their fruits, ye shall know them. Matthew 7:15 to 20. And we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast. Don,
Thank you,
you're the
Jay.
best.
You're the best. Love you.